So today we're going to talk about healing with nature, and just in case anybody missed that. It occurred to me a moment ago to take off my shoes because of what you said about walking on the earth. And then I thought, well, I'll be behind the flowers if I do that. So I used 3 books to prepare my talk. Although I suppose because of what I've done in nature, I really didn't need to use any books at all. But I like to use books because I won't always be accessible to you to teach you. But these wonderful, amazing books. The Findhorn Garden, I read that a little bit every spring. Just to remember what these few people did in northern Scotland. 3 people. It started out with 3 people and a trailer on this exceedingly windswept land, and their ideas were so potent, and the connection with the nature spirits so potent that they eventually created a community of hundreds of people and grew 40-pound cabbages. And this was started in the mid-60s, and that's when I was married to Joe Percival, and we actually considered going to Findhorn because he was much more of a naturophile than I was, and he was very interested in doing that. But I'm glad I didn't. But I still love their books, and there actually are many books. So in this book is called Nature Speak by Ted Andrews. And there's another book I read by Michael Rhodes. His work is really beautiful too. Chapter 11, Ancient Mysteries of Trees. But I'm going to read from page 148. Enchanted worlds still exist, and the doorways to them are hidden within nature. These doorways may be more obscure than in past times, but we can still seek them out. Every flower has its fairy. Every tree has its spirit. Every woods has its lady of the woods, and caverns do lead to nether realms. At the change of seasons, nature reveals the doorways to those whose hearts are open. So healing in nature is truly about opening your heart to possibilities that you may have not thought of. So I've always been connected with nature because our family lived in the country 3 miles from town. And my mother, when we were very young, there were 3 of us girls, and we were very boisterous. And my mother would literally chase us out of the house. And I remember being out there in the rain and making mud. You know, there was a little trickle of water, and then I would make a dam, and then I would make mud pies, and we were out there in the rain. I remember going outside in the summer rains and just getting all wet and just enjoying the rain. Now, I don't do that now. But I think about it. So we swam in the creek. There was a creek. We went hiking and we sang songs. We explored the land and the plants. And we worked because my family really ate because we had these huge gardens, and we would pick peas, pick beans, can peas, freeze the food. I mean, we took care of 2 horses and cows, and we drank milk, we made butter, and we made cheese. Early spring, we made maple syrup, and 7 people lived on my father's salary. If you can imagine, actually probably quite a good salary for those days. I think he made $5 an hour. Something like that would be much more difficult these days and require more people, just all working together. And we did all work together, if not always happily. Definitely, it was not always happily. So when Larry came into my life, that was another breath of fresh air. We lived in Santa Fe, and he was a horticulturist, and we would grow plants and sell them at the farmer's market. Much of similar to what I've done here, which is to take plants that are divided from somewhere else and propagate them and then sell them back to the community. So it's a wonderful thing what we've done here. I'm happy in the garden, and it's life-giving to me. And as I was diagnosed with breast cancer last year, and my office closed because of COVID, I started cancer treatment at the hospital. I started to go for walks in the woods behind our property. So I don't recommend taking the allopathic method for healing only, or the natural method for healing only, but to really combine those and do what feels right for you. There may be a tea from your garden, or from the woods at the side of the stream that's over the next hill, that might be very healing to you. And I always recommend that people go inside and allow their inner guidance to speak to what plants you need for healing. The Bible says, I give you all the plants for your food and your medicine. So So I began to go for walks in the woods, and I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. And I was going into a small woods behind our property, and last summer, the oak trees had been cut down, and the trunks taken, and the 30 or 40 feet at the top left on the floor of the forest. So I began to go around to all of those trees, all of those stumps, and all of those branches, and rub my hands on the rough wood, and apologize for what had happened. I try not to criticize. I try not to say what a horrible thing that was, because we need wood. We need a way to, and we need time to, there's a time for everything, and there's a time for cutting down trees. But I did apologize, and it just went to my heart. It just went to that process. That was a process for me. And it won't be the same process for everyone, but there is opportunity, and there is a process for every single person. So the irony of all these efforts never ceases to amaze me, because for the last month or so, I haven't too many mosquitoes, too hot, too muggy. I can't go for a walk in the woods. I just can't. Too wet. I mean, there's water everywhere. I mean, but I truly believe all these things are just what we make up to give ourselves excuses, and I'm no different. So what I did was what I can do even more, but what I did was I found a net that goes over my head. I found one of Larry's shirts that comes all the way down to here. The sleeves come all the way down to here. The net goes all the way up to here, and it goes all the way down to my knees. And I put a net over the shirt, and I'm pretty mosquito free. It's still warm out there, but and it's still wet out there. But it's pretty mosquito-free. It's just very interesting. I'm walking in the woods, and there's this buzz, 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 buzz. It's hard to hear anything else, but it's really interesting, and I feel like saying, "Ha ha, ha ha, mosquitoes! You can't get me." So each challenge that we find that keeps us from doing what we can offer to ourselves as part of nature. The power of spirit, the healing of our spirit is what happens first. And if we give it a chance, it's not that hard to give it a chance. And that the power of intention fits in the picture as well, because our intention moves us and moves our environment to support that which we intend, that which we desire, and that which we want. And some creative attitudes. What seems to be difficult becomes possible and doable. So let's heal some of our attitudes towards nature, because there is nothing good or bad about nature. Parts of it are simply wanted and unwanted. Most storms are unwanted, but they are absolutely necessary for all living things to grow. Weeds, for instance, weeds in our garden, and I, because I don't have this attitude toward weeds, they grow in my garden quite a bit more than I would like them to. If you've ever seen my garden. Now it's just full of weeds. So I heard someone recently call weeds nasty, but plants are never nasty. It's our difficult relationship with them, and what could easily change if our awareness will expand into understanding that weeds are just plants that are where we don't want them to be. And there are at least 3 kinds of weeds that I munch on as I'm pulling them, and I can't tell you what they are. Nope, I can't tell you what they are, but sometimes I know them. Lamb's quarters, yeah, lamb's quarters is one of them. Anyway, there's lots of things that we can actually eat out there. We pull them out, we put them in a compost heap. Composting is actually really important for gardening, and use them again in a different way. So many things we cannot change. We cannot change, but we can change ourselves. And one thing I really truly recommend is to let go, relax, surrender to our feelings, whatever they are. Notice if there's an aspect of nature that you're beginning to criticize. Just notice that and choose another thought. Choose another thought. We have a lot of pain, and a lot of our pain can be changed, can be transformed by nature. We are nature. The same carbon element of our bodies is the same carbon element of our soil and our plants. We are especially the same spirit. The divine energy of the earth, of the plants, is the divine energy of us and of all of nature, of our bodies. And there's no separation. You'll read again and again, there's no separation. I want to read a few words from the Findhorn Garden. This is from the Landscape Angel in 1969. We would have you love the garden and all in it, putting your care and attention to it. But above all, we would have you feel it all part of the one. It is not enough to grow plants merely for beauty, appearance, or use. Grow them also because all are expressions of the whole. You too are parts of the whole, part of that clod of earth, part of that tiny flower, part of the sunshine and the rain, the light in another person's eye, the warmth of another's smile. And you are part of us, the angelic hosts who overlight and give life to the planet, who care for you all, though you know it not. So there are ways to heal with nature that we may not have thought of. Forest bathing is something you might have heard of. It's a Japanese tradition. Shinrin-yoku is how you say the Japanese, or probably not how you say the Japanese, but that's my interpretation of how the Japanese might sound. It involves no water or no getting naked. But it is about surrendering to the smells and to the sounds of the forest. It involves breathing deeply. It involves becoming present and realizing all the gifts that nature has to give us, realizing that we are firmly a part of wherever we are in nature. Walk slowly through the forest, through the trees, through the meadow. And 2 hours or more is best, they say. Reduce stress, heal your body. So another way of specifically and consciously is conscious grounding, assisted by going barefoot in the grass. I went out this morning. I put my my net over my head, and I picked raspberries for breakfast, and that was just such a treat, such a treat. But again, I was surrounded by mosquitoes, and I have to be very careful when I get back to the house that I don't take mosquitoes back inside with me. Barefoot in the grass, barefoot on the soil in the garden, even in your house, go barefoot. It calms your nerves, reduces muscle tension, stimulates the nerves in the bottom of your feet for better function all over our bodies. So I want to finish with a quote from Aaron, one of my very recent daily messages from Deep Spring Center. I would ask any of you who feel it's appropriate to please consider spending time just holding the damaged environment of the earth in your heart, bearing witness to the cries of the plants and the lakes, the trees, the mountains, the soil, the air. Hear them, share your love with them, and then offer this loving energy out to those who will make decisions, like shining a light into a group meeting in the darkness. Not making decisions for anyone else, just holding that light, cherishing the earth. The more loving energy can be brought forth to support the earth and those who would help support the earth, the better. It is true that as we heal another, we heal ourselves. That's come back to me again and again. As we are fully present with each other, and we're we're not trying to decide what we're going to say next. As we become fully present, we heal ourselves and we heal another. And now it's your turn to fill in those spaces that I left blank.